Hello, good morning, afternoon or evening. Welcome to a brand new Gooner Ramble pod. It's a pre-season, pre-Community Shield, Charity Shield, whatever shield you want to call it now, special. And we've got some special guests. First of all, we've got the regular Clive. How are you, Clive?
Hey mate, not bad. Good intro, keep going.
Thanks, mate. And we have as well from the Gooner Girls podcast, it's only Amanda. Come on, Amanda, how are you? Two months out, I hear.
I know, we haven't potted for a while. It's only Amanda. I think that's what I'm going to hashtag now. I'm good, JJ. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm all
Thank
good.
you for inviting me on.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Never a chore. And also, we have a very special guest. It's Memz. Memz, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all right, James. Thanks for having me on, Geezer.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. So, guys, with the pre-season's been on the last couple of weeks. It's 4 wins from 4 games. 14 goals and only 1 conceded, which, to be honest, if you look at it, Barkley's goal, you could have had anyone in goal. That was just an absolute ripper. But, going from the Asia Trophy, we had Akpom scoring a hat-trick, Wilshere netting in a penalty. And then against Everton, you had Walcott, Cazorla and Ozil stepping up. But then we go into the Emirates Cup, which, it's a great day out. I've been a few times. And it's a lot more families, which is good. We all got promised about £10 tickets when the stadium first opened, and it's good, that we've got the families going in and got more young kids and stuff watching the games. But going into that game yesterday against Lyon, they're a team that finished second in Ligue 1 last year. Lacazette, 42 goals. He was meant to be a danger man. And he's my man as well, one of my picks for us to sign. And he was very, very quiet indeed. But on our front, we weren't quiet at all. It was a nice 6-0 win. I'll go to you first, Memz, as you're a debutant. What did you think of that Lyon game yesterday, mate?
Very impressive, mate, to be honest with you. The thing that was most pleasing for me is that Arsenal actually played players in their natural positions. Ramsey in the middle. Obviously, we had 2 wide players. We had Oxlade-Chamberlain and a young lad on the left. There was none of Ozil on the left. There was none of Ramsey on the left. Everyone. We had nice balance. We had a good pace. The team looked super fit. But I thought we was outstanding yesterday. I thought we was really good, but just a bit worried that people were going to get too carried away, as they do in friendlies. So, but overall, I was very happy, very impressed. It was good to see different scorers getting on the score list as well.
Mm-hmm. And they were all very, good goals in their own right, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, a couple of goals were on counter-attack, weren't they? I think if you can watch it, if you go back and watch a couple of goals, you'll see that they actually started from Coquelin winning the ball back. And then we was able to hit him on counter-attack. Obviously, Ramsey's goal was really impressive. I think Ozil was outstanding yesterday. Some of the passing. I think this season we will see Ozil at his best because he's had a proper pre-season with us. He's had no distractions or anything like that. So, but overall, it was really good. Some of the young players looked really good as well. It was good to see Debussy back after his long layoff. I think Wenger's going to have a bit of a dilemma there who to start, with Bellerin or Debussy, but really impressed yesterday. I think Yox looked really strong as well, didn't he? He looked outstanding on the right hand side, and again Wenger's going to have to make a decision who he starts on the right hand side of midfield as well, or right hand side of attack.
Yeah, I would say as well, in regards to that Oxlade-Chamberlain goal, it reminded me so much of the Invincibles, just how fluid it was and how quick it was, and then the finish as well. You got, I can't remember who it was on the other side up front. They sort of thought he was going to square it back, but he's like, I'm taking this for myself. And fair play to him. He's always been criticised for his end product, and I think he's got a very good end product. And he's one of them as well that will shoot outside the box, which we don't have a lot of.
He's got everything, Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think if he can stay fit, I think he's going to have a massive season. He looks like he's bulked up, and he looks like he's a bit more. He's been working out in the gym, and I think if he can stay fit, he's going to have a massive season.
Yep, and I'll go to you as well, Amanda. What did you make of the game? I know you were watching, and you weren't there, were you? I think you were watching from home.
No, I don't go. I went last year and saw a 0-0 drab match. So I didn't want to go in the first place, but I took some girls with me, and it was nice to sit in a different part of the stadium and have a day out. I'm not really a friendly sort of girl. You know what I mean. I thought the third goal, is it Iwobi? I can't even say his name. Iwobi. I thought that goal was brilliant. I loved that goal. And yes, I know Twitter goes into meltdown because it's only a friendly. I don't think Wenger can win sometimes. If he wins like that, people go, it's only a friendly. If he loses, then it's all, oh my God, it's devastating, you know?
Yeah, and you get the people that go, oh, you've lost your own trophy, and you get all that criticism. And
you know what? As I always say, yes, it's a friendly, but I thought the football was great. I agree with Memz on Ox. I thought he was 10 times the player I've seen him. He looks like a powerhouse now. People know my thoughts on Ozil. I thought he had a great season last season. I've always been a big fan of his. I thought all the players look great. I think the main thing for us is if we can keep everyone fit. You know, I know we're going to talk about that, but I thought it was fabulous football yesterday. Today was a little bit boring, but good to see. I like the new kit. I think they all gelled as a team. What's lovely is constantly coming off the bench and stuff were kids. You know, I swear today I'd never heard of that bloke, Adelaide, ever. And I was like, I've normally heard of, you know, the under-21s. There's occasionally I've heard. I was like, who is this? He looks great. Reminded me of sort of like a fit Diaby, you know? But no, I really enjoyed it. Well, yesterday I thought it was great. I don't think you can ask for much more. You can only play what's in front of you. They did what they had to do. And, it's good.
Hopefully we've got Clive back now. Clive, we're just talking about the Lyon game, mate, and Oxlade-Chamberlain in particular, and Iwobi's goal and some others. But what really impressed you yesterday? I mean, for me as well, people talking about Petr Cech signing and, you know, Szczesny going to Rome. I was really impressed with Martinez yesterday. He didn't have much to do, but when he was, asked to deal with things, he done it really well. I think Martinez is a great young keeper. I mean, if he goes out on loan again, hopefully he can get some good momentum and stay, because I do rate Martinez. I think he's a good little keeper.
I agree.
Yeah, he's okay. He's a good big keeper, really. He's very, very tall. He made a save at 0-0, which was quite important, actually, because we were doing okay, but we didn't quite score. And he made a good one-on-one save at the clock end. And but yeah, like everyone has said, they were fantastic yesterday. And what really impressed me was the pace of movement and the pace of passing. And it just looked like we were already in sync of each other. And it was just like, this is unreal. I mean, everything looked so good about the day. It's a nice day. The pitch was beautiful. You know, I've been to many, many first games this season, but it never fails to excite you. But the number one thing that struck me was, we've seen Arsenal play well before. When they play a weak opposition, they normally do the job, but they've done it so efficiently. But you could definitely tell there was a different sense of belief amongst the players. I think that transcended itself to the terraces, really. I think people are really, really have an expectation of this group now. And now the players seem to come back and they look focused. And just little things I was watching, Mersak and Koscielny, the way they were moving to receive the ball, dropping deep, making the pitch big. But their movement was really serious. And everything was done to point. And that just, for me, the number one thing that's driving that is competition for places. They all know that whole back is under pressure from the four we saw today. I mean, there isn't much between them. I mean, we got 8 defenders there. And I'll tell you now, any one of us, I won't be bothered which of the 8 played. And I can't remember last time we had that. So, I mean, with Petr Cech showing up as well, we've got something really good going on. And that competition for places is really starting to make other people work harder, play better. I just heard a man talk about the Ox. Well, he's a classic example. I mean, unbelievable 2 games he's had. He's just making a mickey, to be honest. And if Raheem Sterling's 49 million, then I tell you what, we've got a very valuable player in our hands there, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've spoke about it before of how much of an athlete and stuff he looks, but these kits now, they seem even tired, don't they? This season's one, and he looks even, like we've said, the physique on the man is absolutely incredible. He just...
That kit's not very good for us fans, I'll tell you.
No, I certainly wouldn't look like that, trust me. But going on to it, I'll speak a bit, Cazorla, his free kick, he has got the quietest feet in football, hasn't he? I mean, under the wall, just cheeky, as you like. But Amanda, I'll go to your man Ozil. I'll pop a question to you. I know a few other people will say this as well. He's got 2 goals in pre-season now, alright, we won't get carried away. How come in pre-season, Amanda, he can hit the ball on a half volley like that, but then in the Premier League, he'll never try it, he'll never attempt it? What, is it a confidence thing? Why do you think he can do it in these games that sort of, they don't mean much, but then when it comes to the crunch, he has a fear to shoot nearly?
I think you might see that slightly different this season. I think this is the season where all the doubters will be coming into my little club.
Well, we can all see what he does. It's just
no,
James,
in
that number 10
James,
role.
how many times have we spoken on Twitter about this and people have slated him? You know that. I know you're in my club already.
Yeah.
But
I'd just like to see more goals out of him. That's the only criticism I'll have. I just want a few more goals.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's not my criticism of him. I don't really have a criticism of him. Unfortunately, I'm quite rose-tinted glasses with him, which I'm not normally on any player, but I really, really am, because I can see what he actually brings to us. I just can't believe people can't, but everyone's got their own opinion. I think you will see a different. I think when he came back from his injury last time, a bit like the Ox, he bulked up. I think when players come to the Premiership, it's a bit of a shock. Yes, of course he's a world-class player. Still got to adapt. I mean, look at Di Maria at United. He's running away after one season. It's not that easy to adapt. I think he's worked through his doubters, the criticisms he's received. The players think he is one of the best they've ever worked with, and that's all I go on. And then when I was at that event and Ian Wright spoke about him, and just shakes his head and says, I cannot believe anyone doubts his ability. I don't play football. I'm not a coach. I'm not into tactics, but I cannot believe some of the stuff I hear around me at the Emirates about him. I vowed to stop going on about how much I loved him about 6 months ago. Obviously, I haven't this week. I think you will see a difference because, when he came back from injury last time, he bulked up and I think he looked different, but it was quite towards the end of the season. I think he'll go for it now. I think he's ready. But what Clive said is right. The competition for places is phenomenal. I still feel if he was only going to buy one player, it would have to be a defensive midfielder to cover for Coquelin. I think Coquelin for me is first choice. I think he's good enough. Got no issue with that. He can't play every single bloody game until the end of May next year.
Well, he might get suspended as well. That's another thing
injuries.
People don't think.
I'm not being funny, and I absolutely adore Arteta, but he's not good enough.
No, his legs are gone.
Yeah, totally, but I think he's wonderful to have at the club. I think he's a true professional. I love him. I see him as an Arsenal coach as such, but he's not good enough. We go away to Stoke on a Wednesday night and we haven't got Coquelin, it'll be 3-0 again. So I don't want that this season. We've got the money, go and buy it. If he doesn't buy a striker, I'll live with it, because we do get goals from all over the park. But with regards to Ozil, I think he's going to step up that notch that everyone wanted last season. I've just got a feeling.
Yeah, I just like, for me, your number 10 type of player. Maybe it's because we've been spoiled with midfielders that scored. He got, 4 last season. I'd like for him to, maybe 10 or so, 10 plus. That'd be my sort of target for him if I was going to give him anything. But moving on to today's game, we had Wolfsburg and, Theo Walcott, he takes his time, he was getting pelters during the first half of my timeline. I don't know about everybody else's.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, just give him a bit, because he will score eventually. But I think people always wait. We've always been waiting with Theo Walcott, and I really do believe this is a turning point for him. I really think now, if he stays fit, this could be his season. I mean, I hate mentioning his name, but we waited so long for Van Persie, didn't we? And then he had those 2 good seasons. And then he buggered off, but could that be like Walcott? He's, his contract's up. Could he have a good season and bugger off when we need him?
If he's played in his right position, I think we will see Theo at his best. But I'm not sure he can play as a lone striker up front. It's worrying me. So.
No, that's true. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. But going more into today's game, I did put down here about Arteta, but we sort of glazed that over. But I'll get rid of that there. But Clive, I'll come to you. You've been speaking about young players, and me and you talk about young players all the time, but Rennie Adelaide come from Lens, wasn't it?
Yep.
He's come from, sort of obscurity. Just how good was he today? I mean, 17 years old, he's 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah.
He looks like a Arsenal version of Yannick Bolasie. He's fantastic, wasn't he?
Well, a bit better than that, to be honest. But, I think, I did have a glance at him in the under-17 tournament in the summer, and he was France's best player. He played sort of wide left like he did today. Yeah. He came on yesterday, and when I heard we bought these 2, the kid called Fortune as well that we've got, I thought, this is really interesting. It's showing that the academy is really recovering. They're starting to pick these right players. It's a shame, actually, they've only taken on 7 British boys into the scholarship program, 16 to 18s this year, which is a shame when you consider how many people are actually in that academy. To only have 7 boys get a scholarship is a bit of a shame. But then they bring in 7 or 8 which are foreign, and he's one of the 7 or 8 they brought in that 16 to 18 range. And when I saw him come on yesterday, I tweeted out, said, "Oh my God, he's special." And I got slaughtered. How can you tell that in 20 minutes? But if you sort of watch football closely, you can tell that in the warm-up, mate. The way he sort of runs, the way he moves. He is a proper athlete. He's about 6'1" at 17. And he just glided past somebody right by the bench. And I thought, oh my word. You know, I've seen him do it at 17 years of age against other 17-year-olds, but not fully fledged professionals. And he just glided past them. And I thought, that's really interesting. And today, when he set up Walcott's goal, he was playing wide left and he picked up the ball on the inside right. So to have the personality to go to the other side, dribble past 2 and play a perfectly weighted pass into the centre area, Walcott to score at 17 years of age. Wow, that is unbelievable.
His distribution was fantastic, wasn't it? His weight of passing and everything was so good. And I know he's only just started, but you forget that you're watching a 17-year-old. You feel like he's been doing this for ages. It was sublime, wasn't it?
It's just the smoothness of movement. That's what differentiates the really good players. So Amanda's talking about Ozil. So why do we like him? Because he makes it look so easy. He's not even running, right? So he's just gliding. I mean, his off the ball running yesterday was wonderful to see. And the same with this kid, Adelaide. He just glides. Walcott's got that movement. Oxlade-Chamberlain's got that movement. And that's where you can spot a special player. So you don't need you don't need more than 5 minutes if you've got your eyes looking properly at the right things. And you could see immediately, and I was pleased to see Wenger come out last night and say he's got something special. And it's quite interesting. Players like, say, Gnabry and Zelalem, who are I'm wondering where they were this week, and I'm just not sure. I'm genuinely not sure where they were. But
they went to collect the trophy at the end. I don't know why they weren't on the bench or why they weren't picked for the squad.
Exactly. So it's quite interesting. I mean, they're equally good talents, but this kid has jumped right over them. And it shows you the importance of pre-season and the importance of showing up in training.
Yeah, exactly. Was there any other comments anybody want to make about today's game? Or?
Just a bit, touching on what Clive said as well, I totally agree with you, Clive. He does look special, and sometimes when a young kid comes along, you can tell almost immediately. Like I had that feeling when the first time I saw Anelka, the first time I saw like Bellerin as well, you can see these players are special. But I just want to not give too much hype to the young players, because we've done it before so many times with the likes of Quincy Owusu-Abayi, Emmanuel Thomas, and Lupa Lee. There's been so many players that we've overhyped up to say that they're going to be the next Henry, the next Vieira, and they've not developed. So I'm just a bit scared about giving to these young lads too much of a build up, So I do agree with you though. He does look the talent. He looks very good.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. But the difference is, okay, we're fans, and we say what we see, and we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong. But it's not. I didn't hear Wenger come out and say that J. Emmanuel Thomas was special, and he's come out and said this kid is special immediately, and that tells you something. That guy knows a bit. So, I mean, I had a bit of a hunch on him yesterday, but I thought, I was at the ground and I had a couple of Carlsbergs. I wasn't too sure what I was doing. But I was a bit bullshit yesterday, and but it was confirmed when I got in and I watched it again, and then the fact he started today tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. Well, rolling into next week, big game. We can complete what some people have called the most useless treble in history. If we win. And, I thought we could have a bit of fun here. So, we, as the group, we can all pick the starting 11. So, next week, Chelsea. Who starts in goal? I think this is going to be quite easy for everybody. And, who starts in goal? I'll go round. I'll go to you, Amanda, first. Who you putting in goal next week?
Me. No, we've got to have Czech. I did do a little tweet. I said it could be 3 trophies, couldn't it, for Czech?
Yeah.
It's going to be, the problem is the build-up, and I won't be here, but the build-up will all be about Czech, Chelsea, won't it? So, yeah, it's got to be him, innit?
Yeah, and Memz?
Yeah, it's got to be Czech. I mean, today he just looks so confident, and I always felt that Szczesny and Ospina had a mistake in him, but I didn't feel like that today. And if I'm feeling that as nervous as a fan, can you imagine how the back four feel when they've got Szczesny behind him as well? So he just gives this confidence. But my only concern about Czech is is I remember Drogba playing for Galatasaray against Chelsea, and he had a stinker, and I'm just a bit, I'm not doubting Czech's professionalism, but sometimes when players play against their old rivals and things like, or their old club, they can sometimes not turn up, and the emotions might take over. And you obviously see Lampard scoring against Chelsea last year, but I'm not questioning Czech, and I think maybe he's got a point to prove to Mourinho. So I just hope that, it doesn't become the Czech show, and, it might become a bit too much for him, but I'm sure he's professional enough to deal with it. But yeah, Czech's a great signing, and he's got to start next week. Absolutely.
Yeah. Clive, have we got a full house?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy is fantastic. His influence on the team is already huge, and you're absolutely right. Sometimes the keeper is how you feel. But one thing I will say about him is that obviously we all sort of know he's a good keeper, right? So it's not hard to pick. But I didn't really know Peter Cech, the man. And as we get to know him, we can see what an absolute leader he is and how hard he concentrates. His focus is like massive. And I keep saying he hasn't come here to mess about. He's come here to win. And so that sort of takes my little fear about away, that just like you, Memz, that he might have a nightmare next week. I don't think he will. I think he'll be absolutely focused on making sure that none of them will come up to him at the end of the game and shake his hand and say, "What have you done?" Do you see what I mean? Yeah. He's going to make sure of that. Also, he can't control all events, but I'm really impressed with him as a human being, to be honest. I didn't realise what a leader is.
The players have taken to him as well. Like the other day, during the Villarreal and Wolfsburg game before, you could see him and Cazorla and all that chatting and laughing and everything. The players have really, taken a liking to him quite quick, which is good to see. But another one which has caused quite a debate for me anyway is right back. I'll kick it off. I think against Chelsea, I think Bellerin's pace and crossing will be useful, but at the same time, I think we've got to play it safe, and I'd go for Debuchy. I think Debuchy's just the better defender, really. I mean, do we go all out and try and score, or do we, with Chelsea, do we sit and wait? I think we've got to sit and wait, really. I think it's going to come down to narrows, and it could be, a game like that. So I'm going to go for Debuchy. Memz, who are you going to play?
It's a really tough one, this, and I'm a massive fan of Bellerin. I think he's a young kid that's he's got everything. I mean, he's fantastic going forward. He gives us so much more than Debuchy when we go forward. Like yourself, I think maybe Debuchy at the moment, he's got the experience, he's a bit more defensively, he's got that knowledge. Against Chelsea, against Hazard, it's going to be tough. So I love Bellerin. I think he's got to have confidence. And if you're going to start dropping him for games, do you remember when Alex Meninga was in a great bit of form when we won the league? He was brilliant. Then Wenger dropped him and his confidence went. So I think with Bellerin, if you drop him, you might lose something.
That's the thing with Hazard's pace. Bellerin's one of the only ones that can keep up with him. But at the same time, I just think Debuchy's experience, and he is the better defender defensively. That's why I just think against Chelsea, I think that's why I'd go for Debuchy. But
I'll stick Bellerin in. So I like giving if someone's in form, you got to stick with them. So I'll stick
definitely. Yeah, and Amanda, where do you lie on this?
See, there's no debate for me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's Debuchy all day long. I don't know. I mean, Bellerin's great and everything, but Debuchy's a step above in my eyes. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd have Debuchy.
Yeah, Clive?
Yeah, me too. I thought Debuchy was excellent yesterday. I talk a lot about partnerships on pitches, and I thought the partnership with Oxlade-Chamberlain was really, really good. Again, if Rams is going to play right, I think the partnership with Bellerin is really good. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think for me, Debuchy plays. I think his timing and challenge is really good, and I go for him.
Yeah, and in centre back, we got a question from Adnan2205, and he said, "Who starts centre back with Koscielny?" I would rather it be Gabriel, but I think it's going to be Mertesacker. I don't know. Clive, do you want to go first? Who do you think is going to partner Koscielny at centre back?
The partnership of Koscielny and Mertesacker is supposedly our most stable, but Gabriel was close to man of the match today. I mean, goodness, in the air, he's unbeatable. I mean, it's incredible across the ground. His potential is huge, and if it doesn't happen next week, it's not going to be too long.
Yeah.
So
I just went with Gabriel from the point of view of if Diego Costa's playing, you know, he's a bit of a bastard, isn't he? And I think Gabriel gives as good as he gets. So I reckon if Costa's, you know, he wants a bit, I think Gabriel will be like, well, I'll have some if you want some.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's the only reason. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Per Mertesacker has been fantastic, and I think some of the criticism he gets is a bit out of order, but I think in that game next week, if Costa's going to try his tricks and, you know, shirt pulling and, you know, eye gouging or whatever he tries and does, I just think Gabriel's going to be a bit better for it. But Memz, what about yourself, mate? Who are you going to go for?
No, mate, I totally agree. I think Mertesacker's been absolutely fantastic for us, and like yourself, mate, I think some of the criticism about him has been a bit harsh over the years. But I think sooner or later Wenger's got to make a decision with Gabriel. You know, when does he give him the trust and to select him? He could wait for Mertesacker to get injured. He could wait for Mertesacker to make some mistakes. But I would like Wenger to give him a bit of confidence this season and say, this is our new partnership of Koscielny and Gabriel. Like yourself, Clive, I thought he was outstanding today. He's got pace. He's got a good spring on him. He's aggressive. He looks a bit nasty as well. So against the likes of Diego Costa, I would love to see it. So I think it could be an awesome partnership with Koscielny and Gabriel this season. I'm putting him in my fantasy team. I think it's going to be brilliant this season.
And Amanda?
I'd rather Paulista, but I think he'll play Mertesacker.
Yeah. I think we agree that as a group, to be honest. Yeah. And left back for me, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Monreal. I do love Kieran Gibbs. I think Kieran Gibbs is a good player, but I just think Monreal's just a bit better.
I've never been
a
fan of Kieran Gibbs. Sorry.
I've always loved Gibbs, Memz, until last season when he got injured, and then Monreal was crap to begin with. Then he's just turned it completely around, and I even had to hold my hands up on the pod to say, what a player. There's no doubt he is our left back. There's no debate, surely.
I don't know, Memz, you're not a Monreal fan, or?
I've never been a fan of Kieran Gibbs. It's a mistake waiting to happen all the time. I think defensively he gets caught out time and time again. His positioning's terrible. He doesn't really give us that much going forward, and I think he's a poor man's Ashley Cole. I hate to say, you know. I think if the stories are true that Monreal could potentially be leaving, I think we've got to start looking at left back, because Gibbs scares me. He's a mistake waiting to happen.
And Clive, what about you? Are you going to go against the grain, or?
I'll give Gibbs a bit of a big up for yesterday. I thought he played really well yesterday. I thought he really, another one that looks, he's like he's fighting for his place. I thought he was really energetic and did well. I think Monreal, I think actually Gibbs is ahead fitness wise. You have to think about that pre-season. Who's come in shape. I think Gibbs looked a lot fitter than Monreal. I think if we close our eye and think back to last season, Monreal really brought some solidity to our back line and some sensible play, and he knows how to time his runs, and he doesn't empty his hole all the time, which means other teams can ping into that hole and leave Koscielny 2-3 on 1 sometimes. And I often feel at the times when Koscielny was being sent off and getting booked a lot, it's because he was always isolated. He had to make big tackles. Whereas Monreal's much nearer by distance to Koscielny. So, maybe I go Monreal but Gibbs is playing well. Don't underestimate him. He's really fighting.
Yeah. And this, in the centre, I don't think there's going to be much debate here, but for me, I'm going to go with Coquelin and Cazorla. I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees.
Yeah. I'll go with
Coquelin and Cazorla, everybody, is that all?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good partnership there. They've got a good balance there, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep, certainly. And on the right hand side, I'm going to go with Oxlade-Chamberlain for me. I don't know, everybody else?
I think Oxlade-Chamberlain just looked fantastic in pre-season. You've got to give him a start. He's buzzing, so that'll work for me, yeah.
I'm going to go back, right? I actually think he might go and Ramsey in the centre. I think Cazorla's done well in practice his last 2 games. Again, it's about fitness, and I think Ramsey's fitter than him at the moment. And I just don't think he's at the level yet. Next week might be different. He scored his good goal yesterday, but you know he came on late yesterday. In the game today, he didn't play that great until Hayden came on and gave him some balance. So I don't think it was all his own fault. I think his partner today wasn't great for him, but I think Ramsey has shown up over the last couple of days. I think he'll nick the start ahead of Cazorla.
Fair enough. And then left-hand side, I'm going to be controversial. I'd play that Rennie Adelaide next week. I think go with who they don't know. I would definitely, I'd throw him in next week. I think if they're going to start Ivanovic at right back, he ain't the quickest. He's got the strength in abundance, but I'd go for Adelaide. What about you guys, left-hand side next week?
Where's Sanchez in all this?
Well, he's away, isn't he? He's not going to be
back.
Oh,
sorry, he's not back, is he?
Yeah.
I thought you were going nuts for a minute.
No, we got a question from at Zeus_Cannon who said who starts on the left as well, but people might go, I'm waiting to get handed now, people might go, are you serious, he's only played 2 games? I really think, they don't know who he is really, he's an unknown. I really think next week he'd be brilliant. I think he'd be ideal for that.
Do you know what, I've never wanted to win a Charity Shield so much, but it's so important. No, not because to beat him finally, even if it doesn't mean anything. It's a really important game for Wenger. Sorry, you know me, I go off track. Go on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play him, to be honest with you, James, because God forbid something does go horribly wrong, and we've seen it happen before at Old Trafford, and we've been hammered, and we've seen it happen. God forbid it does go horribly wrong. Our Arsenal fans can be bastards sometimes, and they'll pick out a player as they did with Kyle Jenkinson, and they'll say, "Oh, it's because of him." And it could do a lot of work. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just God forbid something does like that happen. We have an absolute tonking. Yeah. They'll pick out one player, and he'll be remembered for that. So I wouldn't play him on the left hand side. For me, I'll start Theo on the left hand side.
Fair enough. And Clive?
Yeah, I'm with Memz. Theo on the left hand side. My front three, I'm about to tell you now. I'd have Oxlade-Chamberlain right, Walcott left, and I'd have Drew up front.
Yeah.
And I'll flip behind.
Yeah, see, I've got Ozil behind, but I think that's all going to be agreed by everybody. But with your front three, Clive, this is what I'm thinking. John Terry and Cahill, when we played them in the league, dealt with everything in the air. With Giroud, we're going to keep trying to go, over the top I think play the ball in behind with the pace, have Theo as the main outlet. I know sometimes against the big boys like Terry and Cahill, he gets made to look a bit of a wussy, but they're not the quickest anymore. I really think you play the ball in behind, and if you've got Chamberlain and I don't know if you've got that Adelaide on the wing, if I'm talking hypotheticals and I'm in dreamland, but I really think them two with the pace, I really think that's the best way to go about it. I think having Giroud, have him as an option to bring off the bench, but to start him, I just think Chelsea will just deal with that. I think they'd want us to play Giroud up top.
They may do, but what they're going to have to do, what we didn't do in a home game, is we didn't have 2 people on the flanks that could challenge and stretch them back 4 and create spaces. You look at Walcott's goal today. When did he score? He scored actually when Tube Rakpom came on. Tube Rakpom was playing centre forward when Walcott scored. People have this thing that he has to be centre forward to score. The best forwards in the world are what I call inside forwards. Right? So they score from that channel, that inside forward channel. And Walcott's ability to travel distances and create movement is his trick. And I think he's an out-to-in player. Right? So out-to-in from the left-hand side means he's shooting with his right foot. That's what you want. Right? So Memz just spot on there. Walcott tucks in left. And then almost we were playing 2 up front almost. He's like a lazy wide forward. Oxlade-Chamberlain the other side, much harder working.
Clive, you're 100% right. I think with Theo, his strength is when the ball's in front of him. I think when his back's towards goal and he's being asked to hold the ball up, something that Giroud does really well, I don't think Theo can do that. I'd like to see, I know me and Amanda spoke about this the last time we was together, is that sometimes in some games, Wenger mixing things up and playing 2 strikers, playing Giroud and Theo up front in a 4-4-2, but I don't think he's going to do it. But I 100% agree with you. Theo's got to play on the wing, and then when the ball's in front of him, and he can run, make those clever little runs, he's very intelligent. Going back to the Charity Shield, I don't think, like last time we played Chelsea, we didn't have that pace on either flank. Wenger played Ozil on the wing, I think he did, and he played Ramsey on the wing. And that one thing that really pisses me off is when he does that. I think it totally screws a whole game up, because our game's based on quick movement, pace, and hitting teams on the count. And when we've got players playing that position, it winds me up. But now we've got Ramsey playing well in the centre. I really hope Wenger just doesn't start doing it again. We see it today with Wilshere being played on the wing, and it winds me up. So let's see what happens next week.
Yeah, that's the next question I've got is, but it's pure and simply how do we all think the game's going to go? For me, I can't. I can't see us, thrashing them by any means. I know their pre-season's not been very good, but for me, Mourinho doesn't want Wenger to beat him. I think he'll have them players motivate, going, look, whatever you do, just don't lose to him. I think that's the big main thing that he's going to be doing. But what about you guys?
It's important, isn't it? Normally the Charity Shield couldn't care less. I went to the Charity Shield last year for the first time ever. I wasn't going to go, but a friend of mine had a box, so it was really interesting to see how the other half live. And it was brilliant, so I was with all Man City fans. But it was great, we were brilliant, we took them to pieces, but it doesn't mean anything. I think this means a lot, because it's him. If we played anyone else bar Tottenham, it wouldn't mean anything, don't really care. So it's actually going to be a really competitive game. I can't call it, to be honest. I'd love to beat them, just so it's one, we can get that monkey off our back.
Yeah, I just... Even if we did win, he'd still come out and go, well, he's beat me in the nothing game.
Doesn't matter.
That's how arrogant he is,
yeah,
isn't he?
But
That's
it doesn't matter.
I would love to. Nothing would make me happier for him to finally beat him, because it feels like he is his kryptonite. And, I would love it to happen, but I don't know. I think, Costa and Falcao's going to want to prove himself, especially after what he had last year. Unlike Di Maria, he's not running away. But why would you run away on the money he's on anyway? You'd stay wherever if you're getting paid that much. But what about you, Memz and Clive? What do you see? What do you think?
Go on, Clive. After you, mate.
Yeah, most important thing for me, is most important thing is that we keep the flow going, right? So what's been good about the last 2 days, and even in Singapore, we look really sort of, I don't want to use the Wenger word, but we look really cohesive, right? We look really quite good. And there's a lovely flow to us, right? It's a lovely focus. I'm thinking, okay, well that sort of was brilliant yesterday. And then today, for about 20 minutes or so, we didn't control the game. And I thought it was going to be really interesting to see how we reacted to a little bit of adversity. And Wenger changed in the second half, added a bit of pace up front, and moved the emphasis of the game further forward. And he fixed the problem, and we scored and we won the game. So I think it's important next week. What's going to happen is we're not going to dominate it. And we've got to get comfortable with that, right? We're going to have games where we're just not going to be in charge all of the time. And it's about what we do in those moments. Have we got the ability to break out? Have we got the ability to transition? Have we got the ability to dig in and not concede? We showed a little bit of that today, because Wolfsburg were much better than Lyon. And I hope we show that next week. And that's what I'm looking for, really, that ability to play when the world isn't perfect on a nice sunny day, right? So we got that this year. And so as long as that flows there, as long as everyone's focused, and as long as everyone does their jobs, I tell you, our talent is close to theirs. The one issue I have with this team at the moment is Coquelin, funny enough. He is so good. We have got nobody close to him to do that. Mm-hmm. And he sets our whole team off in motion. And today, the first 20 minutes today, come on, your eyes weren't lying. What were you feeling? I mean, you looked at that centre team. Oh my goodness, they are taking pot shots on that arc outside the area. They are passing into our centre backs. And we're looking, we didn't want to say it because we love these players, but we're thinking, oh no, this isn't working anymore.
He got caught out, didn't he? I remember Arteta gave the ball away, and
it doesn't matter. It's early in the season, so it's pre-season. That's what it is. It's pre-season. But I always say sometimes, your eyes don't lie. We just choose to ignore it. Your eyes don't lie. How did you feel? We all watched it. And watching Coquelin yesterday, he's actually getting better. If you watched him actually last year, because he hasn't played very much, he's a little bit heavy around his stomach and that. He wasn't that fit. It took him a while to get up to these levels, but he's now fit. He looks sharp. I actually think he's going to be better this year. And he looked incredible. And that's my worry. He's so good. Who's close to him? Nobody is.
What I'm worried about, Clive, is Amanda said it as well. God forbid he picks up a long-term injury. We are completely and utterly screwed, because
that's why he's got to sign someone, Memz. That's why he's got to sign someone.
But he's had the opportunity, hasn't he? Has Schneiderlin been available? Vidal's been available. Kadira's been available. He hasn't. So who's available now? There isn't that defensive midfield player that's available now. So if he really wanted to sign a defensive player, he probably would have done it by now. So he hasn't. I think he's going to look at.
I don't think it's a difficult position to fill. Not with Arsenal, right? Because we're not looking for anything complex. We're looking for someone to do a specific job, right? So Coquelin's job is really specific. It's about engaging high up, intercepting, tackling, and giving the rest of the team, defensive front five, the confidence to say, we're off and running. So his trick is, he really is a transition tackler, right? So I think that skill is unique. So you just need to have that player who's happy to do that dirty job. And there are lots of players like that, but they've got to play with a level of intensity. And that's what Arteta didn't have today. Through no fault of his own, he just hasn't got it. You know, and it's not, and Arsenal missed it. They missed that ingredient. And funny enough, I tweeted today, the only player in our squad that gets close to mirroring what Coquelin does is Isaac Hayden. And people may laugh at me, but trust me, that kid can play centre midfield. Yeah. And he's the closest one. Now, he's not the answer. Potentially. No. We don't know that. But on profile of player, he's the closest one. Or maybe Chambers. But they seem to be settling with Chambers to centre back. And I think we need to be fair to him. So that's what
do you think, Clive, if, again, like I know we're dealing in hypotheticals again, if we were to sign a DM, do you think it would be, you know, someone who's towards sort of the end of their career like Flamini, you know, just a body, or do you think it will be another youngish type, you know, 22 to 25 that can compete or even start ahead of Coquelin? Because that's what I think, you know, people were talking about Schneiderlin, and for me that did baffle me how we'd let that slide by. But I think it was because he put that faith in Coquelin and he didn't want to knock him out of the team. I think that's, you know, is he too...
Is anybody better than him? I mean, for Arsenal, is anybody better than him? There isn't anybody better than him for this Arsenal team, right? The way we play. So he's unique. And although Schneiderlin's a nice player to have, the name makes you feel comfortable. If you watch Schneiderlin play at Southampton, he played with Wanyama, who's much more an Arsenal player for what we need than Schneiderlin is.
I'd love Wanyama personally. I wanted him when he was at Celtic.
He's a destroyer. And then when Wanyama didn't play, they used to play a guy called Jack Cork. And he was the holder. And he was the one behind Schneiderlin. Schneiderlin's an 8. We got lots of 8s, right? So we got lots of people who want to play next to that other player. So although he does play holding midfield for France on occasion. But for me, he's happier in front of another player. So yes, I'm sure Wenger could have should have changed his role and played him in the holding role. But why do that on top of Coquelin when I don't think he's as good? So I don't think it needs to be somebody with a defensive mindset. It doesn't need to be somebody super special on the ball. It needs to be somebody that actually enjoys, you know, destructing the other team.
I agree with you.
Really important.
Clive, you're bang on, because that position, that DM position, it's two different type of players. You've got an Alonso type of DM who gets the ball and wants to distribute it. And I think that's what Wenger's tried to get Arteta to be like an Alonso, like that quarterback sort of position. Or you've got the Coquelin position, who, like you said, is a destructor. He wants to win the ball back. And the thing about Coquelin, the beauty about him is he does a simple thing. He wins the ball back and he gives it to Santi Cazorla. He gives it to Ozil and lets them express themselves. He just does a simple thing. So it's a very key position, and there's not that many players, when you think about it, who can do that job in the Premier League. You've probably got likes of Lee Catamol. You know, I know it's he's probably one of these only players that can go in and want to win the ball and quite aggressively about it. So I mean, you look at Man United, they don't have that type of player. You know, you look at Liverpool, they don't really have that type of player. So it's such a unique position. There's not that many around. So
no, you're absolutely right, Memz. You get the two sides. You get what Arteta did today. If you looked at him yesterday, he dropped deep between the centre backs, which means he's not engaging, which means he's not in contact, right? So it's an issue for us. And our centre backs can pass the ball, right? So why are we passing it 3 yards to give it to someone else to pass it out to fullback? No way. Exactly. And Chambers can pass the ball. Mertesaker's number one skill is distribution. Koscielny can pass the ball. We don't need that player anymore in there like we used to. We need somebody else to do a specific job to actually win the ball much higher up and allow us to transition, which frees all our quick transition players. So it is a crucial role. And at the moment, we've got one person that does it well, and we've got to develop somebody else, or we've got to find a solution outside the club.
Clive, do you think Wilshere can play in that position?
I think he can do a better job than Arteta from what I call a quarterback type DM.
Yeah.
But
that's the sort of role he plays for England, isn't he? That deep line playmaker role.
But Wenger says categorically he's somebody in the last third, and I'm not sure for this team he is, because I think Ramsey, Ozil are better than him in the last third, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. So I think Wilshere is much better for me for this team, receiving the ball deeper. He's got a lovely way he receives it on the half turn, always protecting the ball on his left foot on the outside of it. You can't see it, you can't get it. Then he moves it on really quickly. Sometimes you got to change your game to suit the team. And for me, he hasn't got much chance of getting in as a number 10. And on the wing, he has...
Well, look when he bought Arteta. He bought Arteta as a number 10, and then Arteta moved back. So why can't he do the same sort of thing with Wilshere? I don't understand. I mean, he does that role for England under Roy Hodgson of all people, and he looks fantastic when he does it. He looks absolutely... In that Scotland game, he was absolutely phenomenal at playing in that deeper,
I like him
role.
Major, doesn't he?
Yeah. No. I think another thing is as well though, playing in that role, he's worried about the tackles, and if he's got to get stuck in, exactly.
But where's Wilshere going to play then? That's the problem, because I hate seeing Wilshere on the wing. He's not going to play in the centre of midfield, so there's a problem there. So
that is the dilemma, isn't it? We've got such depth now. It's just slotting them all in. Amanda, you've been a bit quiet the last few minutes. Is there anything you apart from just buy a DM? Have you got any names you can pluck out, or is there anything?
I don't discuss transfers. I'm just interested listening to everybody. Clive always makes me interested listening to him. I can't really disagree with much that's said tonight. It is great that we've got strength in the depth of the midfield. We had that last year. If we can keep everyone fit, that's great. I am worried about, I don't understand his theory on Coquelin and just having him and nobody else. As Memz said, all the others have sort of been transferred now. That worries me slightly more than any position. I've always banged on about a striker for 2 years, but I think this is more important. So, if we can keep everybody fit, which we've never done, then it's all positive.
I hope so. I hope we can all come back. I know, you guys are all away on holiday or whatever, but hopefully some of us on the podcast can come back next week and have a happy chat about beating Chelsea and are we going to win the league, and, we've completed the most useless treble, are we going to add to it? So, that's what I hope, but...
How can it ever be a useless treble? Surely everything they go for...
Well, I know they're friendlies, it's 3 trophies that don't mean anything, is it?
Yeah, but it gives the team a bit of confidence, doesn't it? I mean,
but I don't think any young, abiding footballer goes to bed at night dreaming he wants to be the Barclays Asia Trophy champion.
No, but then you've got to think that some kids go to bed thinking, I want to play for Arsenal or I want to play for Liverpool.
Yeah, but when I'll speak to myself, when I was a young lad, playing for Gallows Youth in Chelmsford, I never went to sleep thinking, cool, I want to win the Amsterdam tournament. Do you remember when we used to play in that?
Yeah, of course. No, I get that.
I wanted to win the FA Cup or the Premier League.
The problem is, though, because they're all now on TV, friendlies never used to be on TV. I never even knew when Arsenal played a bloody friendly unless my dad told me. Oh, we won at Boreham Wood or we did that. So...
We used to go to Austria and all that.
Yeah, all over the place. Didn't even know where they were. Yeah. So, I think I understand what you're saying. It's become a little bit more important. It means nothing. We know that. But I do feel that next week it does mean something because it's Mourinho.
Yeah, well, winning breeds winning, doesn't it? So
that's right, and it
that's the best thing to say.
And the team look like they've always had good team spirit, but they look like they're even Jack Wilshere today when he was interviewed, it's great. I love it. It's just they're so unified. That's the word I was looking for before. And cohesion and unified. I just feel this season there is definitely something there. Look, we don't know what he's going to do. When does it close? Is it the 31st of August or?
I believe so, yeah. Is it the 1st of September actually? It closes earlier, doesn't it now?
My timeline's already in meltdown about who we haven't sold.
Yeah, it always is.
Oh, by the end of August, it's going to be a nightmare.
Good. See, good job you're all going on holiday, isn't it?
Let me say a couple of things. Well, I don't dismiss pre-season. If you're a football player, this is the most important time of the season, right? So this is when pecking orders are defined. This is when people establish themselves. And the coaching staff are looking at players. They're looking at who's come back in shape, who's done their homework, who's done their pre-season program at home, who's coming in and who wants to play. And let me tell you something. I'll get disappointed when people dismiss these games because it is crucial. This is when you can actually learn things about who's on it, who's not. If you take two seasons ago, Aaron Ramsey went over to Asia, was our best player by a mile. He'd gone away and done his own program and came back to pre-season and was fantastic. He had a fantastic start to the year, scored how many goals till Christmas, then got injured. But the way he prepared himself has elevated him to be like a superstar player now. You compare him to last year, he got married, come back a little bit lumpy, not quite as fit, got injured, didn't really play very well, and had a bad year. So I'll tell you now, if you look at Mesut Ozil, his first pre-season at Arsenal, right? So last year, his first year he signed late. Last year he won the World Cup, came in late. This year he's done his pre-season with the group. How good does he look?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I really get disappointed when people say it doesn't matter, because it does matter. And you ask the players leaving tonight, they are fighting for that shirt next week. Absolutely fighting for it. I think it's a really important period for us because we have got quality now. We're not talking about Fabregas playing or Denilson. Do you see what I mean? We're talking about Ramsey or Cazorla or Wilshere. And that's a different ball game. We could have a decent argument about that. So, so this is a crucial time, and I think it's crucial we start the season on point. And if we're in good shape after 6 games, we've got a real chance, a real good chance.
Yep, I agree. Well, we'll wrap it up there, but I'll say thanks to everybody for coming on. Thank you, Clive.
Thank you.
I was waiting for you. That's a bit awkward. Thanks, Amanda. Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm back for the Liverpool game. Can't wait.
Oh, great. Hopefully we'll tonk them again, like we normally do at home. And thank you, Memz, for coming in. I know it's short notice, but thank you so much, mate.
It's my pleasure, mate. Anytime.
I look forward to more Periscopes. Are you meeting with Muzzy this week or anything?
No,
they're always entertaining.
We see what happens.
What is this Periscope thing? What is it?
Oh, it's the future. It's the future, Amanda. You should
I was on with Robbie once. I didn't even know I was on it.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. What is it? A live broadcast or something?
Yes,
pretty much.
something along those lines.
Yeah.
Just don't watch any of mine on a Friday night when I'm at any strip joints, because I've done one this week and I regretted it. So.
Oh, I must have missed that one. I must have had myself this weekend.
At a strip joint. Oh my God, so classy.
The podcast has taken a turn.
But you're at a strip joint in your Arsenal top. That's even more classy.
It's after the watershed. It's after. Yeah. Weird. I didn't know there was ITKs in the strip club. I'm going the wrong places. maybe get some info. Flip on the telly. You never know. We might find out who we're signing.
That's where I get all my info. It's just like,
you know what? The 3 things people should be shot for is making up this ITK in the know thing. Arson knows best, and Wobbs. Seriously. Well, the 3 things, whoever made them sorry. I'm ranting, James.
Them and your half and half scarves, don't you? You don't like.
Because I've been on a pod for 2 months. Go on.
Do you know what I would absolutely love is that, of course all us Arsenal fans, we want the same thing, but there seems to be different groups, doesn't there? There seems to be different groups, but if only we can all come together, and if only we can turn our stadium into the best atmosphere in the league, then that will almost be like an extra 12th man. If only our Arsenal fans would all come together, and of course when we lose there's going to be difference of opinion. Of course we lose when there's going to be different people slagging off different manager, different players, whatever. But we've all got to come together for the love of the club, because we all love the same club. And if we can turn that stadium into a fortress, then I'll tell you what, because the players will play better. I'm telling you. So.
Well, I see it when we go away, and I don't know how, when we've got 60,000 plus in our own stadium, how we don't replicate that away fan base at home.
Because I tell you why, because I go away, James, don't I? It's totally different.
Yeah.
Because everyone going away wants to sing and scream and shout. Where I sit, which is the East Upper opposite Wenger, it's like a morgue. Yeah. I mean, and the singing gets round to us quite late, so it's it's not the best stadium, is it, for that?
Is it because there's more of a,
it's a corporate feel to it, isn't it? That's what it is.
Well, I don't want to sound, horrible or ageist by any means, but the aways, it's more of a, you got your is it more your 18 to 25, isn't it, type? And then
yeah, but I go, and I'm 46 on Thursday.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but at the same time, you know, you got. Well, the average age of season ticket holders at Arsenal's in the 40s, isn't it?
Honestly,
you better edit that out, Memz.
Yeah, the young lads, you know, like myself, I go every now and then when I can. But
honestly, I think the away fans are your more hardcore fans. These are the people that give up their Saturdays and they go away from home and they love the club. I think the home fans, sometimes you get a couple of people that just turn up for the occasion. They turn up for the, you know, just to take their selfies, and you get a lot of tourists over there and things like that. You've got a lot of corporates over there, so you don't get the singing, you don't get the atmosphere over the Arsenal like you used to. And I've said it before, I would rather have 40,000 hardcore fans than 60,000 with 20 corporates. You know, I can't stand it. I hate it over the Emirates sometimes. If only we can turn it. I mean, like you said, the away games, you know, or if you go to abroad, you see some of the fans in Turkey, you see some of the fans in, you know, and that, I'll tell you, as a player, if you've got that behind you, you give an extra 5%. So that's why our fans have got to start learning that. Because when
you look at Liverpool when they went to Palace when they nearly won the league, and the Palace fans were on their backs straight as they come out of the dressing room, weren't they? And it was like a cauldron down there.
Yeah, you say that, but Palace is an old-fashioned football ground that we miss.
Yeah, it's a smaller.
I'm not being funny. You go to Tottenham and it's bloody loud. You know, the little smaller grounds it is. I mean, I go to Tottenham away every year, and they're so loud, Tottenham fans, because it's small and it's enclosed. Highbury was like that. Not as it's definitely not as bad as the Emirates. The Emirates is like a corporate bowl. It's just not. I mean, I've sat in club level there, and it's terrible. I hate sitting there.
Do you know what one of the bad things is? I've always thought of the Emirates. I know we're really going off track now, but when I used to go to Highbury, when I had my season ticket, I used to like going by the steps and seeing the players come in. But now they're underneath, aren't they? I think they're so bad.
I've
never liked that.
Sorry, Jones. There's not one place everyone stands at the Emirates anymore. We used to always stand opposite the steps, and everyone used to come and talk.
Yeah.
I don't know where anyone stands anymore. I'm just
but I think the players liked it when you clap them as they're coming in. They never had their headphones on. They always had them off, and they're always, you know, waving or. You know, they'd slap your hands and that if you were a young lad. You know, I used to be on my dad's shoulders. Used to get me old, you know, high fives and that.
I think if there was a section,
it's all gone away now, isn't it?
If there was a couple of sections at the Emirates which was just dedicated to singing, like a singing section where fans were allowed to stand up without having a steward tapping them on the shoulder, telling them to sit down, where fans could swear, where fans could be a little bit rowdy if necessary, and maybe two sections behind the goals where fans were allowed. Then you can almost have like the ultras, you know, like some fans who are, you know, I'm not saying like the Galatasaray fans setting off flares, but a little bit of a hardcore section, you know. So you know, and I think that will spread around the stadium. At the moment, you know, it seems to come from little corners, and it's. You know, it does.
Well, you never know. With this Celtic implementing that safe standing stuff, I know Arsenal said they'd be the first in England to pioneer it if it went, you know, if it all went to plan. And I think that's from a money aspect because obviously you can get more people in, can't you? But I really do think hopefully if that stuff at Celtic works, then you never know. It could, you know, it's everywhere else in Europe, so maybe I don't know. You know, with all that's happened with Hillsborough and everything, I think we might be a bit hesitant.
That's it. I think I might have a bit on this now. I will say goodbye, but I'm back again. But I think
welcome back.
That's the thing. Safety drove it, right? So what that did. That increased the sort of stadium expenditure, which we did. And of course what happens then, the prices go up. When the prices go up, you get a different type of person that goes to football. Right? And that person is not the same type of person who was at the Emirates this weekend. It was a completely different crowd, right? And they were really quite lively. And I'm afraid the prices have sanitised the game. But you know what? You've got 60,000 people in that stadium. And it's okay if we're a little bit different. And it's a little bit different how we watch football. We shouldn't be thinking we have to watch it like we used to watch it. Right? So I don't believe in that. I believe that some days, if the product is really good, I'll watch it like I did 20 years ago. If the product is really bad, I'm going to have a little moan up quietly to myself. Do you see what I mean? So, and I think part of the thing about going to football is you can be whoever you want. And we should be allowed to be that person. So, I'm not one that says I want to go back to Highbury and I want to go back to that. No way. The Emirates is beautiful. It's up to us to connect to the players and the players connect to us and create that atmosphere. And that's what I want to see.
But do you know what, Clive? You said that you can be who you want to be, and I agree with you. But when I've tried to be who I want to be, and try and get people shouting and screaming and singing along. I've had people turn around and look at me like I'm some sort of like psycho. You know, I've had stewards tap me on the shoulder. I've had stewards tap me on the shoulder and tell me.
Because that person's probably spent £2,000 on a season ticket and he's a CEO of some small company, and that's why you look at you thinking, what are you doing, young man? And, but that's
charlatans, yeah.
That person has probably helped us pay for Mesut Ozil. So we've all got a place in the stadium. You know, I'm not one for that. No, I'm not one for that. No. It's okay to be different, right? You know, I'm different to Amanda. Right, so we're all different, right? So that's all right as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been going football for about my first game was like 1972, and when I used to go, I used to be one of the only few black people in the stadium. You go to that stadium yesterday, and it's a multicultural, diverse place. Families, women, children, all different races.
Fabulous. Yeah.
That would not have happened in the old up and atoms fighting, standing type of environments, right? So there is a lot of different people now at football, different cultures, and I think it's wonderful. And it actually reflects where Arsenal is in that area of
Clive,
very diverse. So
yeah, but the problem is, Clive, that we've got lots of dickheads buying half and half scarves. Now I have a very big issue with this. This is my biggest bugbear. I don't care what colour, race, religion, female, not female. You do not buy a half and half scarf. I allowed it today. I didn't moan about it today because it's a friendly. If I see anyone buy an Arsenal Spurs half and half scarf, I swear to you. It's just.
I wouldn't even buy it as a souvenir.
Men's touched on a good point earlier on, right? And I think where we can get better, and I know where he was going with this about the 12th man, etc. And where the club is trying.
About my scarf issue.
I've moved on, right? So, is that connection between the fans and the club, right? So, it's only a few months ago that there were fans shouting at our manager at Stoke train station, right? So that shows gaps can appear very, very quickly in this sort of social media age. I think what we can do is stay tight to this group because they've got a real chance. They have really got a chance, and we haven't seen that for a long time. So I think if we can keep that connection close to between the fans and the club can do more things with away fans, helping them go into games, etc. I think that's a way to sort of bridge the gap, because I'm afraid the culture in football fans is set in stone. There's going to be more stadiums like the Emirates coming in, because that's the way football is going, that's the way sport is going. So we have to accept it and try to create our own little pockets of environments that suits us, and that's all we can do, really.
Yeah, well, you talk about Arsene Wenger getting yelled at the train station. Well, I think we're going to do like the fans said and get out while we can. So we'll definitely end it here. But just before we go, thanks again to everybody.
Cheers,
and you know the YouTube's there, so please subscribe. Please subscribe on the SoundCloud.
James, you notice that any pod we're on, we divert.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's all good for me. But anyway, just as well, you know, the iTunes, please subscribe and comment on there, because we value it and we do read the comments. We try and get back to you. And also, hopefully Wednesday, the lovely Seema will be on Periscope. You won't have to see my ugly face.
Oh, I love Seema.
In my ugly bedroom. So it's all good. So hopefully you can have a chat with Seema on Wednesday, and that'll be fun. So yeah, thanks again everybody, and have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. Take care guys. Bye bye.